about social media activity on FuturePass and FutureScore that's not currently active. Leaderboard, we addressed that in the AMA as well. That's something we're considering, but we want to make sure that's executed properly, and probably more of an opt-in thing. If people have put assets in escrow and they've been in and out of wallets since mint, will you still get time held? Yes, as long as those wallets are linked. And once again, if you have a compromised wallet, the best way to link that is by creating a separate FuturePass for that compromised wallet, which will in of itself be compromised, and then linking the future scores. That way you're not actually giving any kind of ownership or delegation to that wallet. Again, around linking or merging, so hot and cold wallets, yes, if you complete the challenges from the hot wallet without accessing the vault, that will complete. You only have to do the quest from that one wallet. What's going on with Sylo? So I've been working, caught up with the team on that front actually just the other day. There is a bunch of work going in at the moment around how Sylo operates within the kind of Futureverse ecosystem, the role for Sylo, the Sylo protocol, and the Sylo token itself. There will be some more information on that coming out soon. We're actually just reworking some of the kind of core utility in that, but I can't really speak too much more on that, but just to let you know that there is a lot still going on with Sylo, and how it will kind of evolve and play a key role within the wider Futureverse ecosystem and on the Root network. What incentives will there be to improve your FutureScore after initial community distribution has ended? If we look at FutureScore as a whole, it is, in its current state, somewhat a means to an end. The end being a true open metaverse with a very highly engaged audience. However, FutureScore can play a number of roles within the wider Futureverse ecosystem ongoing. There's a large amount of ways that can be utilized, and if you think about FutureScore both from an ownership but also increasing FutureScore through active participation, it's actually a really great mechanic for anyone else who's building on the Futureverse tech stack to identify highly engaged members within the community and help kind of target them when it comes to launching their own products or services or experiences or games or whatever it may be. So I mean, I don't anticipate that we're going to be moving beyond this kind of unlocking of root rewards through FutureScore anytime soon, but even once that initial kind of that full supply has been released, there will be many other applications for FutureScore across both first and third party apps and experiences. Is there going to be a revoke cache sort of thing for the Root network? Yes, we actually had a discussion about this with the FuturePass team the other day, and that's on the roadmap a little bit further down the line once we roll out some additional core utility. Will Sylo nodes only operate on Root network, or they be also on Ethereum? I can't confirm that, but once again, as I said, there's a bunch of updates coming through for Sylo as a whole, so stay tuned on that front. Also confirming Cennz will be completely shutting down and replaced by the Root network. No, so Cennz, once again, the Cennz is kind of somewhat out of my scope, but my understanding is that it is basically being handed over to be DAO governed, but there will be an opportunity for people to burn their Cennz tokens to Root if they wish, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the Cennz network itself will be shut down. In fact, we just brought on a new well-respected advisor in Japan, I believe, or the CenzzNet team did, and it's shifting really to kind of DAO governance for CenzzNet. Lots of people in general chat saying how their future scorers are increasing every day just from hodling in their Futureverse assets in their wallet. So yes, Futureverse, your FutureScore does increase over time based on time held. Don't expect it to change every day though, or every week. There's a whole multitude of factors that go into it. But as we addressed on the AMA, there was some additional investigation that we're doing in terms of time held bonus for people that have held for a longer period of time, as in more than a year. Just making sure that everything on that side is working as expected. The AI AI League game doesn't currently affect FutureScore, but it will in the future. There's some interesting developments happening on the Gods and Goblins side. I think Aaron leaked yesterday on Twitter that we're closing in on the first game experience with them. That's still a good, I would say, towards the end of the year, realistically. But yeah, there's some really exciting stuff happening on that side. And in terms of the junk list, we can certainly look at putting OX Sylo on that now that they've basically shut up shop and said yes, that they're fine to do that. What we are really focusing on is, as with Futureverse, is building out the platforms and tools and technical interoperability standards through things like our asset registry to allow for mass interoperability within this next era of the internet that we call the metaverse, regardless of where your assets live, what worlds they come from, etc., etc. In terms of how that looks with our first party IP, once again, just stay tuned for updates relating to Third Kingdom. Our key focus is actually to not really focus on advertising, why people should come and play in the metaverse, for example, or why people should engage with NFTs or crypto or blockchain technology, but actually just to create tools and experiences and games that people want to engage with without even having to care about the tech behind it. It's all about problem solving and creating great experiences, great services. And if you do that, people will come regardless of how the tech works. If you then see, oh, actually, all of the tech behind it is actually really empowering for everyday users and allows for true verification of ownership of assets in a trustless environment, then that's an added bonus on top, and that helps keep people engaged. Question 3, could you provide more details on the core tools of Futureverse infrastructure structure of identity, artificial intelligence, communications, payments, and how they are integrated via the Root network? I think, as I said before, there's a lot of work going on right now in terms of documentation around everything from Root network and the various protocols and tools that run upon it. So on that front, I think best to just stay tuned. You'll see some of that stuff start to come out, especially as we look at the various different tools that were brought into Futureverse across AI protocols, payments, etc., and how they all start to integrate together. So I mean, I could talk at length about that, but this is called 30 minutes max, so it's quick fire. Future passes for FIFA AI League currently abstracted using email other providers, or are there bots botting future passes for airdrop? Currently around 76,000 future passes. So yes, there have been people mass creating future passes. It honestly doesn't really affect us at all. People mass create Ethereum addresses all the time. There's no real downside for us. It's actually been a good test of us for some of our network security and handling of loads for mass adoption. But I think key thing to note here is that having lots of future passes doesn't mean you're going to get lots of root. The whole FutureScore system requires either asset ownership or active participation, and any potential FutureScore quests in the future which may allow people that don't own anything to actually increase their future score and therefore be eligible for root rewards will require a fair amount of actual active engagement and work. It won't just be something that can be easily farmed. So these people who are mass producing future passes they're not really getting anything right now. Aaron told us on the AMA that they are working with the Cool Cats team, an announcement for the Cool Cats community, FutureScore Quest. It's important to remember that as we continue to grow, as we continue to roll out more tools, platform services, we'll be bringing on a massive range of partners that span all sorts of different IP, and they're all going to engage at different levels that seem relevant to them. When can we murder goblins? As Aaron leaked earlier, I'd say, within the next 6 months, you'll be able to murder goblins. Uh, honestly, I got an insight into a lot of the stuff that's being developed on the game layer for Gods and Goblins yesterday, and it looks epic. It may be an infinite supply, but that doesn't mean you have enough goblins, especially if goblins get perma-deathed. Um, do they plan to include Asto, Sylo, in FutureScore? I can't confirm that. They will give an update. We are aware of those components, and there's a whole bunch of work going into tokenomics for Root Network as a whole and how that integrates into FuturePass and FutureScore. So there'll be updates to come in that soon. What is the strategy for onboarding new Futureverse ecosystem participants, assuming partners won't aggressively market Futureverse? Well, I think it's really about the experiences and the brands that exist on Futureverse. Futureverse itself and the technology should be somewhat invisible, except to those that are actually kind of actively building upon it. But the onboarding happens through the experiential or the application layer. So continuing to build out our first party and partnership apps and experiences, and then as we really roll out all the developer resources and the base camp and all of that sort of stuff, which you guys will hear some more on very soon, that will build out a system to encourage others to develop on the Root network, and then start to build out that network effect as we start to grow more and more. Has FutureScore been calculated on borrow traits, such as the number of lands in each trait, and FutureScore parcels already been included? No, as we touched on in the AMA, the land itself and distributions for land is being dealt with separately. What all chains will be supported on Root NFT marketplace? Will it be cross-chain compatible or not? I can't answer that question. Obviously, our longer term goal is kind of as much interoperability and being as chain agnostic as possible. But I can't answer that at this stage. Were we going to see the latest ATEM cards reveal anytime soon? Yes, you will see that along with the relevant other announcements for car claim and that when it's ready. And what's happening with the Weta ray guns? Pew Pew still Genesis assets. Wow. I mean, they're certainly the Genesis guns, Genesis weapons within our ecosystem. But yeah, those are being integrated into some of the game experiences that are being worked on at the moment, but I can't say any more.
It's about the interview yesterday. I felt like within the community, it was extremely well received and everybody praised it as like one of the best interviews the team's ever done. How was it internally? Was it something that's been talked about much? And when can we expect the next team guest appearance?
Yeah, so I also think it was a really great interview, and it's actually, stuff like that is actually handy for us, even just when it comes to like onboarding new employees. It's a really good, concise overview of everything we're doing, and an essential piece of watching for everyone within the company. Very well received. We're actually, I think, just working with their team now to get the key kind of sound bites and that sort of stuff for sharing that, in more digestible content across socials. In terms of I would say you should expect to see, some key big piece of content like that at least once a month, in terms of something that's a bit more of an external podcast, probably at least like once a month, and then more of an internal like podcast, like product deep dive type stuff. You'll start to see those happening regularly as well as internal AMAs. So yeah, we'll especially as we're starting to get more and more products out and into market, you'll see a really sort of consistent comm schedule on that front, and that's something that I'm working on establishing, so it's easily accessible as like a public community comms calendar that people can like subscribe to and actually get those updates straight into their Google Calendar or whatever that may be. Question here, any plans for the Fluff's second birthday? Yes, there is an event. If you go to Discord events, you'll see there's something in there for next Tuesday the 8th here in New Zealand. So it'll be Monday the 7th US. and we've got some Monty's organizing a whole bunch of stuff for that, including some pretty hefty giveaways. I believe there may even be a poter or two in the mix for that giveaway.
I know you guys can't really speak on like how rarity affects FutureScore, but is there any
Mhm.
type of resource or anything that we can look at that is like what you guys determine the rarity from? Because I mean, from OpenSea to Blur, there's like kind of a big disparity at times. So if people are looking for rare items, is there, or is it like your guys' one-off custom? We'll never know how you guys have the
No,
rarity.
honestly, there's only a small handful of people in the company that have insights into the exact mechanics around FutureScore and how it works, in terms of like specific weightings for rarity and assets. I can say that, rarity at some degree does factor in, but I can't say any more than that in part because I literally don't even know.
Yeah, I'm not really looking to see how it factors into the score, just like if there's like a ranking that we can look at so we
Hey,
actually
Alex, we've
know.
the community, especially like I think the OG like POTA members, but everyone has loved seeing the POTA raffles. Like on top of the Discord already vibing, those POTA raffles, like whenever you just randomly do those, I'm so glad to see those back, man. That's such a good vibe in the in the Discord.
It's honestly like it's been really cool to see. I know, if we go back a couple of months, like the vibes were pretty low. I mean, it's across the entire industry, and within this community. And like, I I know there was some frustrations with the process around the roll up. And trust me, and I've said this many times before, like combining 11 companies and kind of setting them all forward on a trajectory together is not a straightforward process. And it did, there was certainly some speed bumps along the way, but it really feels like we're in a great state now with everything kind of firing, all departments just smashing through work. And I think, as much as like the community vibes have drastically increased, and we've done a lot of work on the community side to make it a much better and more open and well-informed kind of space. Um, I certainly can't claim all the credit for and the sheer fact of the work that's going in behind the scenes through product development and all of that sort of stuff has been really great. So yeah, it's exciting, and I think it's great for us to be at this point now where you know there was a while there where people were voicing concerns, and we were saying yes, we hear you, and we're working on it, but it didn't fit. I can understand why externally it didn't feel like much was happening, but I think most of you can see now that it was happening. It just takes a little while in the background, and I feel like we're in a much better cadence now with how everything's rolling, and excited to see how this drives into. I mean, like if you look at the industry as a whole right now, like pretty much everything is down. And I think, was it yesterday or something, I saw a report and it's like the only ecosystem that was up and up significantly was us. And, while we don't really focus too much on floor price or anything like that, it is obviously a good indicator and metric of overall community sentiment. So, yeah, enjoying the vibes. We'll keep doing what we can to keep the vibes up and keep communicating honestly with you guys and well, openly with you as much as we can. But there will be plenty of areas that we can't kind of just breach confidentiality and all this sort of stuff. But I think you know it's all heading in the right direction, and I'm really happy with how things are going.